That's a really good point, actually. And one of the questions that we had was sort of, this, what happens if companies weren't necessarily agile before this and have been forced to transform? What are the quick wins that they can be doing in this time where things are a little bit harder to implement as strategies? Have you got any tips or techniques for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of things to talk about here. Probably for me, making smart choices about where you're iterative and adaptive and where you're not, I think is particularly important when people are working in remote ways. So in the book, actually, I'll talk about, the three types of problem in the world: simple, complicated, and complex. And simple problems are the domain of best practice. You follow the same recipe every time and you can expect to come out with the same result. And that's the domain of a checklist. That's the areas of work and operations where you cannot fail, where you need to be doing the same thing every single time in the same way. And so alignment is really important here because you don't want to fail. And so the ability of a team to understand where they need to operate like that, and they're more checklist driven. But then you have complicated and complex problems. So complicated problems are a bit like sending a rocket to the moon. Just because, when you've done it once, you stand a better chance of doing the same thing again. But that's the domain of expertise. And so I think the value of expertise in organizations is really important now. But then you also have complex adaptive problems, which are problems where the contexts are changing every single day and they are complex. And so I think here, the only strategy for success is emergent and iterative and adaptive. And so that is the domain really, to think about how you can move fast, learn fast, change, pivot, adapt, and just apply sensible approaches to solving the right problems in the right way.
Can I just add to that, Neil? Because I think you sum it up really well there. Going back to this communication point, in this adaptive environment where it is complex, and especially with organisations perhaps that have been surprised somewhat and forced into rapid change, I think the importance of the senior leadership team being absolutely joined at the hip on what the direction, the meaning is, where are we going, how does this align with our purpose, what's changing about the strategy, what are the short-term immediate priorities for us to survive and then to be able to move into a more exploratory thriving stage. That clarity at the senior leadership team is at its absolute is of paramount importance right now, because people are, there's high degrees of uncertainty. Some organizations have got, majority of people on furlough. The potential for drift and high levels of personal anxiety are very high, and the need therefore for the leadership to be clear, calm, and to be able to lay out the short-term direction of travel, what to prioritize, as you say, what not to prioritize on, where to spend your time, what's worth collaborating on. All of those become even more essential as you gradually move out of what might be a crisis situation.